He won't let me take these, so I got these on layaway too. So I'm just waiting for him to wear these. These are the coldest ones in here too.
No, those hard. I told him those are not.
I can at least wear once. I thought, like I just said, he got one time. Once he went one time, I have them. Nike, if y'all hear this, every time y'all send him a pair of shoes, just send two.
Okay.
So like these, we need another pair of these. Y'all probably only made one, but make another.
Downs, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like you belong here on this team?
Obviously, I think overall as a player, I feel like I put in the work. I feel like everything I do, I try to do it to my best, and that's all I ask for. So I feel like everybody feels like they should be on the team. And if you ask anybody on the team, would they feel like they belong? They belong, in their own eyes. So I feel like I do, but I'm my own player. I think about myself in a high regard, of course. So it's not my decision.
Live from Cleveland, and really, it's getting messy. Browns fans are rumored boycotting all NFL games in Cleveland, leaving stadiums empty as a ghost town.
This what's going on in Cleveland? God. Kevin, you think we all are stupid? You don't think we know football? If you're a football fan, we clearly know what you did.
According to reports, it is reported that about $187 million is lost money for the city and team. But why are fans so mad? And why is Shedeur Sanders at the center of this chaos? Stick around because this drama is wild. Let's rewind. Cleveland fans are tough. They've stuck through decades of crap. Remember the 0-16 season in 2017? Or the constant coaching carousel? The Browns have won just one playoff game since 1994. That's brutal. Fans pour their hearts and cash into this team only to get kicked in the gut. Ticket prices skyrocket, parking's a ripoff, and the product on the field? Mediocre at best. Last season, they barely scraped 500, missing the playoffs again. Ownership's been accused of ignoring fan input, focusing on big money deals over winning. But this boycott, it's the tipping point.
Same plays for Flacco. Then you throw Shedeur in the game with a tight end whose name ain't even on the roster, and some other players, and then you have them run long routes, knowing that the offensive line is not going to hold up because most of those guys will be cut on Tuesday. Damn. And not let him go back in a 2-minute drill in that situation where you know he's going to have to throw check downs, get out of bounds, drive the team down the field. You really think, Kevin Stefanski, you really think we don't know football? So everybody's stupid.
What's up, football fanatics? Imagine this. Empty seats echoing in Cleveland Stadium, vendors twiddling their thumbs, and the NFL staring at a massive $187 million black hole in revenue. That's right, Browns fans have had enough, and they're hitting the league where it hurts, right in the wallet. We're talking a full-on boycott of all NFL games in Cleveland this season. If you're a diehard Browns supporter or just love some juicy NFL drama, stick around because this is getting ugly. Hit that like button if you're fired up and subscribe for more breakdowns. We've got the inside scoop on why this boycott exploded, including the wild Shedeur Sanders saga that's fueling the fire. Let's dive in.
And then there were 53. NFL teams had to get those rosters down to the magic number by 4 o'clock this afternoon. And as our Cam Justice tells us, that meant a flurry of trades and cuts for the Browns over the past 24 hours.
Well, apparently I can't just talk about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift getting engaged. So let's talk about the Browns at roster cut deadline day. It's here. The Browns had to reduce their roster down to 53 players by 4 p.m., but those moves already started earlier in the week. On Sunday, the Browns waived 17 players and terminated the contract of 4, including quarterback Tyler Snoop Huntley and cornerback Tony Brown. On Monday, the Browns reduced their quarterback room from 4 to 3, trading Kenny Pickett to the Las Vegas Raiders in exchange for a 2026 fifth-round pick. But come Tuesday, the Browns had more moves to make. Early in the day, the Browns released veteran wide receiver Deontay Johnson. Johnson was looking for a second chance here with the Browns, but didn't have a strong camp. The Browns opting for another wide receiver who did. One of the more surprise moves, kicker Dustin Hopkins had his contract terminated. Hopkins was a record-breaking kicker for the Browns, but after a hamstring injury, didn't quite look the same, having struggles all last season. The Browns opting to name kicker Andre Schmidt to the 53-man roster instead. Now, while the day was full of bad news for many players, it was also full of good news for some camp hopefuls, including wide receiver Gage Larvadan.
First off, let's set the scene. The Cleveland Browns have been the punchline of the NFL for years. Remember the 0-16 season? The endless quarterback carousel? Fans have stuck through it all, tailgating in the freezing cold, barking like dogs, and shelling out big bucks for tickets. But 2025? That's the breaking point. Attendance is already plummeting. Reports show season ticket renewals down 40% from last year. Why? It's a perfect storm of frustration, and it all boils down to mismanagement, broken promises, and now this quarterback nightmare that's got everyone raging.
Now, I've seen things come out with Shedeur Sanders. Oh, his whole offensive line basically got cut and everything. But that's what NFL football is. See, and that's the next level of football. So I don't buy into people trying to cut into Shedeur because they said, oh, we saw some of the things we saw at Colorado. Hell yeah, you saw some of the things you saw at Colorado. Shut up saying stuff like that. What did you see at Colorado? You saw him running for his life at Colorado a lot. Yes, just like he did the other day. But the difference is, when he did get time in Colorado, he was considered one of the most accurate quarterbacks in college football. When you gave him time in that Carolina game, he looked pretty good. So what I'm saying is I understand that third level, that final level, and that great level, and the level that the greatest of all time played at all the time is I know how to make a soft offensive line looks good.
Let's start with the basics. The Browns ownership, led by Jimmy Haslam, has been under fire forever. Fans are still salty about the Deshaun Watson trade, that fully guaranteed $230 million contract for a guy who's been inconsistent at best. Then there's the stadium drama. The team wants to ditch downtown Cleveland for a fancy new dome in Brook Park, but locals aren't having it. The NFL gave the Browns 0 primetime games this year. While teams like the Chiefs get the spotlight, Cleveland's stuck in the shadows, fans feel ignored, like the league doesn't care about them. No wonder boycott talk started bubbling up on Reddit and X back in May. But here's where it gets really explosive. The Shedeur Sanders drama. If you haven't been following, buckle up. This kid's story is straight out of a soap opera. Shedeur, son of NFL legend Deion Sanders, was a top prospect out of Colorado. Analysts had him as a first-round lock, maybe even top 10.
The shock to me about Shedeur Sanders now being the third-string quarterback for the Cleveland Browns was that so much was made out of unbelievable. He actually made the team as the third-string quarterback. Like that was a big deal. Like that was somewhat of a surprise to a lot of people. He should have been the first pick in the draft. surprised that he made the roster? Are you kidding me? Obviously, the NFL tried to teach him and his father a lesson. You don't act like that. You don't talk like that before a draft. We'll show you how our game is played. We will watch you plummet all the way. I think he would have gone undrafted except for that owner in Cleveland. And he is the key to everything because he is something of an against-the-grain maverick owner. He's kind of a wannabe Jerry. And especially with quarterbacks, see Deshaun Watson, he'll just crazy plunge. And I think because he had a pre-draft dinner with Shedeur and Dion, he likes the kid.
Flashy arms, swagger for days. He was supposed to be the savior. But draft night? Disaster. He tumbled all the way to the 5th round, pick 144, right into the Browns' lap. Why the free fall? Drama, baby. Reports of off-field issues, speeding tickets, skipping team responsibilities, and that viral clip of him blowing off a kid's autograph request before his preseason debut. Teams were scared off by the diva label, plus Dion's helicopter parenting vibes. Remember when Shedeur said he didn't want his dad at training camp to avoid distractions?
NFL did, in fact, collude to get Shedeur Sanders. That's why I showed that clip from Chris Carter months ago. We know Coach Prime wasn't too fond of that. Asante Samuel, a few of those guys got into it with Chris Carter about that. But let's listen to what Mr. Eric Dickerson had to say.
And I'll tell you this much here, what I heard from someone that's in the NFL, that the NFL told other, don't draft him, do not draft him. We're gonna make an example out of him. And this came from a very good source, And he said that, I won't say who, somebody called the Cleveland Browns and said, don't do that. Draft
really?
him. Yep, draft him. Don't do that. Because they weren't going to draft him either. They weren't going to draft him. They were forced into drafting him because somebody made a call to them, said, you know, and I say, when I say this is a NFL side source for sure, you know, so this is not hearsay. Look, one thing about it is, and I'll just say it, you know, they don't like when guys have brands, especially black players. You know, and that's mostly us with the brand. You know, we kind of, some guys are flashy and all that kind of stuff. They don't like that. This kid, Fred, I don't think you knew this. He had already made $17 million from a car deal that he already signed. A car deal. He had $17 million already for that. Then he had another 14, I think, from a was it a shoe, Nike or some shoe deal. So he was good with money wise, but I know he wants to play in the National Football League for sure.
So how does he do that? I mean, Cleveland picked him. I find it fascinating, Eric. You're saying somebody even called the Browns and said, don't do that.
Yeah, somebody called the Browns and said.
So what was the objective? He doesn't get picked. He's an undrafted free agent.
That's exactly what's going to happen. They were going to have him. He was not going to get drafted to basically show you this is what happens when you do this. I mean, look, you know, Fred, the NFL got all kind of power. They do all kind of stuff. You know, you know that, and I know it too. But no, they were not going to draft him. And like I said, when I said it came from a good source, it came from a very, very good source. They said they weren't going to draft him. I like it because when I saw it when he went to the second round, I said, oh, I said it out loud. They're not going to draft him. They're going to make an example out of him. I knew it.
The Browns scooped him up, thinking they got a steal. But fast forward to now. Shedeur's buried on the depth chart as QB3 behind Watson and whoever's backing him up. The training camps were good. He brought the A game and buzz around the Browns. But a few moments after, he was said to have gotten some injury out of the blue, which seemed kind of sus. But fans aren't buying it. They're screaming, play the kid, especially the new wave of supporters. Colorado Buffs and Dion diehards who followed Shedeur to Cleveland. These aren't your typical Browns fans. They're hyped on his potential and threatening to bail if he doesn't start week 1.
And so you didn't get this man a fighting chance to compete. He went into a gunfight with 2 knives. He gonna lose that every time.
I was surprised, TJ. What I was most surprised about is that this is your opportunity to see him in a 2-minute situation. Why are you giving a guy a 2-minute situation when that guy's going to be on the street in the next couple of days? So what do you get? And people already know what Huntley can do. He's been a starter in this league. He backed up Lamar Jackson for 2 to 3 years. He even started a postseason game. So I don't think anybody's going to look at that 2-minute situation and say, you know what? Snoop Huntley is our backup. We saw him last year, and he goes down to Miami. We saw him last year, and we've seen him in situations. That's what was confusing to me, TJ.
You know why they did that, Shannon? If Shedeur take them down there, drive down the length of the field, they win that game, the fans gonna be saying, Shedeur our quarterback. Shedeur should be our starter. Shedeur should be the guy that starts game 1, week 1. Look what he did. They didn't want that to happen. And I don't know what's going on with Kevin Stefanski. It's almost as if, and I don't even want to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's like he don't want Shedeur to do well. Like when he played well the first game, he was so off-putting, like, oh, yeah, well, you know, we'll see what happens next. Like, he should, he played great, man. He exceeded our expectations. He didn't say none of that. And so to me, it's as if they want him to fail so they can justify doing what they want to do. But man, listen, the way when Dylan Gabriel, and I know Dylan Gabriel, and I like Dylan Gabriel, I know him personally, very good dude. When he made the entertainers and competitors comment, man, Shannon, if that was me, I would have walked up on Dylan Gabriel myself and be like, hey, bro, what did you mean? Shedeur handled that about as good as anybody can handle it when he was asked that. He done handled himself the right way the entire time he been there.
Ocho said it wasn't nothing. Ocho said we made a big deal about nothing with that, TJ.
Nah.
He said he wasn't talking about. Ocho told me he was not talking about Shedeur.
So when you first hear it, 100% you talking about me if I'm Shedeur. When I first heard it, I'm like, oh, he talking about Shedeur. If you sit back and reflect on it, I believe he's talking about y'all two and the people on TV, the guys that are entertaining everybody else. But initially, when I first heard it, I said, oh my God, why would he say that? But then when you sit down and think about it, I do believe he wasn't talking about Shedeur. But in that initial reaction, I'm going to come press you just to make sure.
Let me ask you this, TJ. Why was he talking about Ocho and I? We're not competing against him.
Entertaining. He's competing, but the entertainers, the guys with great podcasts like what y'all doing, the guys on TV, they entertaining y'all. So don't let them have us go against each other. We gonna compete, but the entertainers, that's how I took it once I sat back and reflected and thought about it.
I think you gave him too much credit for that. I don't think he thought that far in depth.
and it could be, though, Shannon, that I know Dylan Gabriel. I've been knowing him for a few years now, and I like him, and that could be why.
Yeah. It seems to me, sometimes, like when you didn't like somebody, a hoosh, and somebody mentioned their name, and you get quiet, and you like, it seems like every time they mention Shedeur's name, like Stefanski has a part of him inside, like, damn, I got to talk about this dude. He fourth string. Why are we talking about a dude that's fourth string?
But the drama doesn't stop there. Sanders' preseason was a roller coaster. He balled out in his debut against the Panthers, throwing for 138 yards and 2 touchdowns. Fans were hyped, thinking, this is our guy. But then, in the final preseason game against the Rams, he got sacked 5 times and finished with minus 27 yards. Browns fans weren't just mad at Shedeur, they were furious with head coach Kevin Stefanski for putting him in with third stringers and questionable play calling. Some fans even called for Stefanski's head, saying he's setting Shedeur up to fail.
Oh, did they really just do Shedeur the way they did him during the draft? So automatically, all eyes they were going to be on him because of the way he came into the league. He played so well, and then to be drafted in the 5th round, everybody was taken aback by that. Then he gets in the game. When he played the way he played, some of them throws he was making, man, those aren't easy throws. It ain't like it's covered.
He threw guys open.
Man, he was throwing BBs.
Yep.
And so I don't know why they won't get this man a fair shot. At least it just seems that way. Joe Flacco may lead them to the playoffs, but he's not your quarterback of the future. I'm going with one of these young guys so that I can see, Are they the future, or I got to draft somebody else?
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with you. Look, in year 18, based on Joe Flacco's resume and his history, he gonna win you 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, nice run.
But here's the thing: Joe Flacco win you games when there's no expectations. You see, the number one thing that a killer player is expectations. When the backup come in and he gets to play free and loose, put expectations on him and see what happens. Now we expect you to lead us to the division. We expect you to win this game for us and see how they play.
Hey, you got these Unk-isms, man. You be having these Shannon-isms, man. Hey, you're right. Because now we expect you to win this playoff game. You fall flat. We expect you to beat the Ravens or the Steelers or the Bengals. You fall flat. And he's not your future. That to me is the biggest thing. The Cleveland Browns are a quarterback away from being competitive with anybody.
Every week.
Because of that defense and the skill guys that they have. And so, to me, it's a no-brainer. I don't know why or what Shedeur has done. Because Prime played a long time. Prime played a long time. They love Prime.
So how does Shedeur tie into this boycott? For a lot of fans, he's become a symbol of everything wrong with the NFL. They see his draft slide as proof the league plays favorites, and the Browns' handling of him, like benching him in the preseason or keeping him as QB4 behind Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and Dylan Gabriel, feels like another slap in the face.
Maybe this kid is as good as Mel Kiper and Skip Bayless say. Maybe he is. He's sure popular. Is he ever? Did you see the TV ratings for that first preseason game that Shedeur lucked into playing because everybody else on the roster got hurt? Did you see the numbers? Biggest preseason TV ratings numbers in 10 years for that game because of Shedeur. He's got a following. I might be driving that bandwagon. I'm his biggest fan because I believe in Shedeur Sanders. I believe in his mental and physical clutch toughness. I believe in his deadly accuracy. I believe in his bloodlines. I believe in his father with all my heart and soul. I believe that father taught son that you are the best at what you do. Shedeur grew up around all-time greatness, and it has rubbed off on him. Sometimes to a fault, he gets a little too full of himself, but he believes with all his heart and soul that he is destined for greatness. You can't teach that. You can't coach that. You can't buy that. He fell into Cleveland's lap because Jimmy Haslam wanted a publicity splash. It was mostly a publicity stunt to say, oh, he's fallen all the way here? Yeah, I know we took Dylan Gabriel because Jimmy Haslam, the owner, had nothing to do with Dylan Gabriel. That was Andrew Berry, the GM. That was the head coach, Kevin Stefanski. They love Dylan Gabriel, and that's going to be Shedeur's ongoing problem in Cleveland. They love him. They took him 50 slots higher in the third round than they took Shedeur in the fifth round at 144 overall. 144th. Shameful. Disgusting. Despicable. 144th.
Fans are also fed up with the Browns' history of mismanaging quarterbacks. Cleveland hasn't had a true franchise QB since Otto Graham in the 1950s. Shedeur, with his charisma and talent, was supposed to be a beacon of hope. Instead, fans feel like the Browns and the NFL are wasting his potential. One fan even filed a $100 million lawsuit against the NFL, claiming emotional distress over Shedeur's draft slide. Yeah, it's that serious.
It felt like and sounded like it was Jimmy Haslam who overruled the coaching staff and the front office staff and said, look, this Kenny Pickett, yeah, we traded for him. Let's get him out of the way. He's irrelevant. We got Flacco. He's 40 years of age. He's respectable. He'll make us respectable on opening day against the Cincinnati Bengals. But let's just get rid of Pickett now. Let's just get him out of the way. And they did. They traded him to the Raiders, and it opened a new door for Shedeur, obviously. He moved up one slot on the depth chart. The beauty of it is, I was afraid he would get no reps and no run the rest of the year. And now at least I think he will get all of the snaps when he runs the scout team on, and teams do it differently, probably Wednesday. He'll probably get all the scout team snaps against the first team defense. That will be gold for Shedeur. He obviously needs that, but that will continue to give him the opportunity to rise and shine, at least behind closed doors in practice, for a coaching staff that never wanted him in the first place, for a front office staff that still doesn't want him in the first place. So that's a plus. And then obviously going into next year could be a plus, because training camp next year could be an open competition between Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders.
So, where do we go from here? The boycott is hitting the NFL's wallet hard, and if it keeps up, that $187 million loss could grow. Browns fans are sending a message: treat our team and our players right, or we're out. Some are even calling for Deion Sanders to take over as coach to save Shedeur and the team.
But asked Browns coach Kevin Stefanski about the persistent narrative that he's sabotaging Shedeur Sanders' career. Take a listen to this.
Obviously, I don't concern myself with outside type of things, but I'm committed to his development, just like all of our rookies. So we'll continue to focus on getting our guys better, and that's what we'll stay committed to, and that's what's important to me.
Hall of Famer Kurt Warner stopped short of blaming Stefanski, but weighed in on the rookie quarterbacks in their preseason finale by saying, I was really looking forward to the competition between Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders in the last preseason game. I know it plays out like this sometimes, but a bummer that both didn't have the same opportunities to make plays. Dillon Gabriel played well again, but had good opportunities to make plays. Shedeur Sanders didn't have those same opportunities, so it was hard to make much of an assessment. Stephen A., coming to you on this, does Stefanski deserve criticism for how he's handled this quarterback competition?
I'm going to say no. You can disagree with him all you want to, but this is a two-time coach. This is a two-time coach of the year. The man knows what he's doing. I would have liked to have seen Shedeur Sanders, in the two-minute drive. I would have liked to see him be in position to be on the field, to go drive them down the field, and for that game-winning field goal. I get that part, and I understand the skepticism that comes with it. It's a legitimate question. But to ask the question, it was one thing. To accuse this man of sabotaging Shedeur Sanders is another thing entirely. I think that's a bit extreme. I don't think there's anything about Kevin Stefanski's character that makes us or puts anybody in a position to definitively say such a thing. And then we have to take into reality what we saw. Shedeur Sanders looked very, very bad. Very bad.
But here's the real question. Can the Browns turn this around? If they give Shedeur more reps and a real shot to compete, maybe they can win back the dog pound. Or will the NFL keep brushing off Cleveland's complaints, risking more empty seats?
It was incredibly irresponsible. That's why I started off saying what I was saying. I certainly can understand any kind of skepticism about him not letting Shedeur Sanders finish that 2-minute drill. But to sit up there and look at a two-time coach of the year who's never had that kind of reputation and automatically attach the word sabotage to him when it came to Shedeur Sanders, that's problematic. And it's great that all three of us agree, and we're really interested in pointing that out. But we also need to point this out as well. Just like you guys just articulated, particularly as it pertained to primetime Deion Sanders. That may be one of the very reasons I'm talking about outside of his talent that he fell to the 144th overall pick because of moments like this. The second you make a decision about him, if it's something that the masses out there don't agree with, no matter how ill-informed and amateur they are in dissecting what's transpiring, nevertheless, that kind of noise is going to be put out there unfairly and unnecessarily, and that's the kind of stuff that teams may have wanted to avoid during the draft, which is why they could have potentially passed on the quarterback. That's something to take into consideration as well.
Do you believe Shedeur will start at some point this season?
No, I don't, unless guys go through injuries. We talked about this. I don't think that's going to happen, just because we also have to understand this team watches this player every day in practice, every single day in practice. And so there was one preseason game, body of work, Carolina, really good. One preseason game against the Los Angeles Rams, really bad. Those are what the public's viewpoint is. And then they see him every day in practice. I don't think he's going to start unless Joe Flacco falls flat on his face and gets hurt. And then I think Dillon Gabriel should be the number 2 quarterback unless he falls flat on his face and or gets hurt. And then what they do with Kenny Pickett, I would imagine they have him as the 3rd, and Shedeur is like that 4th that they're trying to develop.
They're saying they're keeping all 4 on the 53-man roster.
Unless someone gets hurt or there's just complete disaster performance-wise by the other 3, I don't think he gets on the field.
All right, y'all, that's the chaos in Cleveland right now. What do you think? Is the boycott justified? Should Shedeur Sanders be the Browns' starter? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm reading all of them. If you're hyped about this drama, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next video.